I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're listening to Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs, and the sins of the underworld. We're Ireland's top podcast for 2025, and now we've got a new website. So if you want to learn more about crime and criminals, if you want stories, extras, and podcast subscriber specials, go to www.crimeworld.com.
This is the story of Gerry Hutch, a modern-day criminal godfather.
If we start talking now, I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. I'm not letting it go. People, they start grabbing at me, they're pulling me down, everyone's pushing me down. The joy was fine, I'd no problems in there. Of course it got dicey sometimes, growing up where I did, you either got into... But not a convicted armed robber. Doesn't wash with you, it washes with me. Not a convicted drug dealer, not a convicted, no. I told her not to worry, that I was getting a new pair of runners. They have these little wheels on them and a little engine, so you never get caught.
I was caught. I done lots of crimes. Some of them I got away with.
Now a job like that is no different to a movie, do you understand? Same ingredients, rehearse, plan, repeat. Don't just have plan B. You had to have plan C, D, E, F, G and the fucking rest. Plan fucking Z. Do you think I wanted this? But as I said, lads, I wasn't there.
Rex, I'm going to read you out a couple of things, and you're lucky that as journalists we've been subjected to similar things. But I'm just going to read you out a couple.
Have you edited these?
No, I haven't. These are a couple of quotes from just reviews, and one person who complimented the play, and everybody does compliment the play as a piece of art. But one of the reviewers says, "I'm not sure it was a good idea from a moral perspective," and another person accuses you, or suggests you are, maybe accuses is too strong, of wading into national controversy. So, and of course, these are milder versions of what was said about Crime World when we interviewed Gerry Hutch as well, because people have, and which we really came to understand during the election campaign. In fact, when we interviewed the monk, there was no problem. But when he nearly got elected, then people looked at the podcast in a different light, particularly sort of the political class, and said, well, he was treated like a celebrity, I think was said. And
by you guys?
By us guys.
Right.
Yeah. And some of this is of course, the sort of the underlying criticism of these reviewers basically saying, well, is it a good idea from a moral perspective, the play? And of course, the same could be said of our podcast. But
yes, interesting. We did go through the same thing.
Yeah,
which is interesting. I'm just thinking about it now. So, the play, I suppose, for context, because I think a lot of the listeners won't have seen it. There is a much larger production happening in the Ambassador in February.
Yeah.
But the play started in the theatre that I run, Glass Mask Theatre on Dawson Street.
Yeah.
I run it with my wife and my mates.
Yeah.
And it's become Ireland's foremost new writing theatre. So we do all new plays. We started with nothing, and now it's grown into a really rock and roll little theatre. So I did it there.
Yeah.
There was huge pushback because I had to pitch the play to a board.
Right.
So they said, "You're nuts."
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely not. We're not doing this. So I ignored them.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I just went about doing it anyway. And I did think deeply about all of those questions. Yeah. And I think, let's say for a writer, actor, director, artist of any form, I think if we're doing our job well, we have to try and withhold judgment in the creation of something. And for us, maybe for a newspaper has to deal with the what, the when, the why, and the where.
Yeah.
I think for an artist, the why is the most important.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about doing this, I've got a bit of a get out of jail card, no pun intended, in that I can create the script as a writer and have some amount of objectivity. But then I'm playing the man.
Yeah.
I'm playing Gerard. So I can be with the audience from his point of view.
Yeah.
So when I was making it, Niall, I suppose, I knew that this would be provocative.
Yeah.
And I deliberately was being provocative. The play challenges Gerard. It's certainly not a glorification of the man. It's really challenging in places. And when the family were in, I did speak to them about that.
This is Gerard's family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said they found it difficult in places. But I think in terms of whoever those reviewers are, idiots, but whoever those reviewers are, I think the theatre that I love provokes. It asks, the theatre is a place where you can go and look at the truth that might be too dangerous or awkward or unacceptable socially to look at or talk about. The theatre is the place that needs to pull the curtain back. You might see it on comments sometimes. You know, people might put on a moral front in the public eye, but if you look at comments, say on your podcast on YouTube, you see what might be, comments can be nonsense too, but there's a lot of what people wouldn't want to say in a public forum. So in my theatre, I like to try and smash that all open, get a group of people in a room who are all from different areas and say, everyone's thinking this, let's put it on the stage and let's see what happens. So I was definitely aware of it.
Yeah, and of course, the reality is, and this is true of nearly everybody who's involved in criminality, you know, many of them have complex stories and have good sides and bad sides. You know, the media, you know, traditionally, I suppose they, you know, as you said, newspapers are 500-word articles. You're not going to give complexity in that.
Yeah.
But it's a funny thing, I suppose, because you're talked about Goodfellas and Once Upon a Time in America. If you had done a show about a mafia guy in New York, there's no controversy. But I suppose it's in this city. It's because he lives in this city that there is a bit of controversy. What do you think, you know, you've continued to stay in touch with, obviously, Gerard when he came out of prison, as you developed this. Like, you said the play shows some of the consequences of his actions as well and some of the impacts it had on other people. Did you find him okay with that sort of light and dark being shown in your play? And were you telling him, were you giving him an idea of what was going to be in it?
Yeah, I sent him the script.
Yeah.
He said, change that.
Did he?
I sent him the script.
Yeah.
And there was very little conversation, actually, Niall, about the minutiae of it, you know, the specific details. But I got the go-ahead, so I knew that's that.
Yeah.
I could move forward on it. For me, it's always a thing of I've played a couple real life people, and there's a point where you have to separate because you're going to have to play the person, as they say, warts and all.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful to be too personally tied to them because that can be difficult, you know?
Yeah.
And I had a major challenge because in my little theatre, 65 seats, you know, I had family members up front staring at me, and not only do I technically have to get across that you buy me as Gerry Hutch, there's enough work to do, but then you've got people who are questioning the truth and all of the things that you put to me.
Yeah.
So for me, I was quite aware of having let's say, an emotional distance that I had to have when I'm writing it and working on it.
Yeah.
And then I have still been in contact because I'm developing this play for the Ambassador in February, taking into consideration things that have happened recently with politics and whatnot. So again, it's balancing that line. I suppose it's no different to you guys. You know, you have to, you in a way, you have to form a relationship. Let's take Gerard again as an example. You formed a relationship, and then your remit might be to have a front page that says,
well, of course,
crime boss.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we we had him on the podcast, and we subsequently done podcasts even last week about him. The case, the money laundering case in Spain. So you have to do both. I mean, people always ask me, I met the man a few times, not regularly now, I have to say. Met him in advance of the podcast. What's he like? How did you find him? And that's a complex question, I know. But, my own experience of him was, he's quite self-depreciating, I think. Did you find that side to him?
Yeah, for sure. Sign of intelligence is humour.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
I was taken by the man's resilience.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe about him.
Yeah.
No one wants their family slaughtered. And I suppose, again, whatever you believe, to come through that and then to run for office, there's a sort of iron fortitude to that. I mean, going for office alone, it's its own shit show for you and your family.
Yep.
So I was quite taken by that. I thought that was interesting. And then again, I had to be asking why.
Yeah.
I did ask that, like, why? Why after all of this? When I was with the man and doing my research, I felt quite comfortable. I thought that I was meeting a person in a new phase.
Yeah.
Maybe if I met him when he was my age, there'd be a different energy.
Yeah.
But I was meeting someone who seemed to have quite a philosophical outlook on everything, as you would if, you know, people have tried to kill you numerous times and you've survived. And I mean, he was very obliging to everything. And some of the stuff that I asked and some of the things that I needed were challenging, like I said. So he obliged me with all of that. So my experiences were positive.
Of course. And I mean, I suppose when we spoke to him, like, it wasn't as if he was saying, this is off limits, or you can't, I'm not going to talk about that. Now, he did have some things that he didn't want to really get into, okay, but he wasn't, shutting things down, or I think answering in an emotionally dishonest way. Now, there's undoubtedly another side to Gerry Hutch. I mean, I don't owe him 20 grand. You don't owe him 20 grand. Do you know what I mean? And maybe if I did, but maybe if he did, there would be a different side. So let's be clear about that. So he ran for election, of course. It's more or less this time last year. You obviously would have kept a huge interest in that, you know, given the play and given everything else. Were you surprised that he nearly won?
No, I wasn't. First thing, I thought it was a very interesting observation for our media that they say Gerry Hutch didn't pay money to get all that coverage.
Yeah.
The media chose to put him on the front page, and they continue to do so. So if we're talking about moral quandaries, that's probably just simply about selling papers. They know the man is box office, and that's why they did it. But that was also a clue to me. I was thinking, this thing is taking on, it's turning into a storm. And he's actually, from the PR point of view, he's taken over the papers, the newspapers, you know. I thought it could have been a slight long shot. And then when I did a little bit of research, I thought about it. I talked to some people around that area. And there were a lot of people, there's numerous reasons, we could get into it if you want, but there's numerous reasons, I think, why people voted for him. And if Gerard did run again, there are numerous reasons why people would vote for him again around that constituency. But I knew that there were enough compelling reasons for people there who were, let's say, we'll take disillusioned for a start. Number one, they might have wanted to vote anyway against the establishment, Gerard or no. They might have wanted a vote of someone who was more genuinely linked, feet on the ground to the community, new people. Again, Gerard or not. And then I think a lot of those individuals were fed up and they felt abandoned. And a lot of them, I think, were in a cycle of neglect and poverty. And Gerard represented a sledgehammer that would perhaps smash the door down at the very least and cause some, as he said, type of change. So when it did start coming through, I thought, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me for that area and those people. And I'm sure there's a load of people around that area that were totally against it as well.
Yeah, of course. And there was some people like Larry Gannon or other TDs who, and of course the political leaders of the country, Simon Harris and Micheál Martin, who would say come out and say that this remains somebody who, in their opinion, is involved in organised criminality and is not suitable to represent, be a Dáil representative, basically. Now, that's not your question to answer, in a sense, because you're not you have one vote and that's it. But you're an artist, representing, telling a story, really.
Yeah.
Did you get any negative reactions from people who would have said this is terrible?
So in the theatre, in my theatre glass mask, it was everything I wanted theatre to be.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm trying to get new people into the theatre and get across that it's not a middle class endeavour that's just boring as shit.
Yeah.
It can speak intensely to the times we live in, and it can also be a rock and roll concert, and it can be entertaining, and it can have a political, moral resonance to it too. So when I did it in glass mask, Niall, a load of people came in who hadn't been in a theatre either ever or in a long, long time. One night I remember I did the show, and half the aisle was Sheriff Street.
Yeah.
They were locked, they were rowdy, and the other half was a big gang of mums from Donnybrook.
Right.
And all these people were together, and you could feel the gap between them. And I was behind the curtain, and I could hear the Sheriff Street heads going, "Go on, Gerry, go on." I was like fucking gladiator. I was thinking, how am I going to get it past these lads now? And then all the mas, you could feel they were backing off from them. And then the curtain opened, and then the magic thing that can happen in theatre was, after 5 minutes, everyone breathed and connected, and they went on a journey with this character who all of them had their judgments, positive and negative, and by the end of it, I think what great theatre can do when it's working is people maybe had their minds changed, or at least they had a different understanding of a person who they'd judged, positively or negatively, and that's I think that's where it can be powerful. So for the most part, in answer to your question, I got really positive responses. People waited for me in the foyer. They said, I thought this could have been nonsense, and you actually showed me humanity. It was also very entertaining. And then so generally positive, I have to say. And then there were a couple of people who actually, you know what? Here's the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't get one negative comment from anyone who saw the show.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But in the run up to it, I did.
Yeah.
I did an interview with Oliver Callan.
Yeah.
On Radio 1. And it was actually an excellent interview, and Oliver, in all credit to him, challenged me.
Yeah.
Really challenged me on it. Why are you doing this? Why would you bother? All these things. And his challenging was helpful for me because it prepared me for a bit more challenging from the media, or a few more challenges. And I felt that Oliver was so married to his side of the fence. And I felt that through the discussion, we actually got somewhere. And I enjoyed being challenged about it because that's what I wanted the play to do. But I didn't get too much negativity at all.
Yeah.
Again, I've a get out of jail card. It's a theatre piece.
It is.
I'm not doing a political campaign here.
No. And of course that is fair. I mean, you can't have a piece of art telling a personal story where they're just unrelentingly evil. It's not going to be very watchable. And of course that's not true of anybody anyway. But of course there is one man who you are directly representing, which is Gerry Hutch. Did he come and see the play, and what did he think of it?
So he has seen the video.
Yeah.
His family came to see it and reported back to him positively. And not much feedback from the video. He just said you could have got a better beard.
Right.
But I think if he hadn't have liked it, I would have known about it.
Yeah.
It'll be at the Ambassador show, I imagine.
Yeah, so tell us about the new show. When it's on, is it, you've updated it presumably with the more recent events, and, basically where people can buy tickets.
So it's probably my biggest transfer of a play. The Ambassador are making a move that I'm really happy about, and that they're doing plays.
Yeah.
That's an inner city venue, you know. And I think that they approached me for the reason that I was doing plays about Dublin. And The Monk is their guinea pig play to see how plays run in that space. You know, it's a rock and roll venue.
Yeah.
So they approached me. I thought it was a tremendous idea. I love the idea of maybe playing to 700-800 people every night in a one-man show. That's a great challenge for me. So we did the deal. I have a team, excellent team. John Anderson Jr., Ciara Murnan and Bill Woodland. They're my design team. So for this one, it's a great challenge for them. In Glass Mask, we did screens and it did this beautiful soundscape by a guy called Francisco and all of this stuff. So we're having to expand that now. So for the Ambassador, it's going to be bigger visuals. It's been expanded by me as a writer. I'm taking in the political revelations, and who knows what's going to have happened by February. So it's ongoing.
Yeah.
That's why... I've had to do a little bit more research with Gerard. And it's sort of unprecedented, Niall, I suppose, in that a play that was this controversial is going to a large venue under, the banner of a promoter like MCD. And it could be around the time of the political campaign. So again, it's doing everything that I want theatre to do. It's provoking. It's getting people from all walks of life into the same room and getting people to have a conversation, not just snipe at each other on comments or through the papers. I want to try. I hate hate. I hate hate and negativity online and people that wouldn't say it to the other person's face. I'm really against that. And that's when I think the theatre can bring a load of people together who don't agree. And by the end of the night, even if they're still arguing in the foyer, at least they're doing it together. So I think that the Ambassador show should do that. I mean, I imagine February 16th, it starts for a week. I think we might end up doing 2. But I can see it being like a circus on the Monday.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want. I remember the old premiers outside the Savoy.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Right.
I want everyone outside, and maybe by the end of the evening, people will be a little bit closer together in terms of understanding. But for sure, there's going to be a lot of controversy. I'm ready for that. But I also think it'd be rock and roll, and I'm tremendously happy that it's happening there.
And so, have you spoken to people who've given you a totally different perspective? Because there are obviously maybe people who involved in law enforcement or have been involved in law enforcement who may accept that Gerry Hutch was involved in crime in the 80s and growing up, but would suggest that he is still involved. Now, that's obviously beyond your ken to investigate that, but that would say that any of this is presenting him as a sort of Robin Hood figure, and that they would say that's not true. Do you feel that people who come to your play will also get a bit of that perspective?
The Robin Hood?
Well, yes, the Robin Hood, or the fact that there's unresolved questions, I suppose, about his activities in relation to crime.
Yes, I was certainly aware of not to do the Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Not because I'm Mr. Moral.
Yeah.
Because it's not interesting.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Yeah.
I actually don't think it's factually true in many ways. And it wasn't too interesting to me. So the play doesn't have the Robin Hood thing. But again, I'm playing him.
Yeah.
So I have scope to perhaps withhold truths.
Yes.
When I want.
Well, I mean,
his point of view.
Because he's obviously, like we all do, we all have I look at myself and think I'm a great guy, but, other people might not. So we all have self-selecting bias or whatever the term is. We all view on some level, have the best version of ourselves in mind when we think of ourselves.
And for the most part, everyone thinks, they think that they're doing the right thing in the circumstances.
Even when they do even when they do things that are objectively wrong, they can have. So that is an interest. That's an interesting bit of it. Now, the other challenge I would say with Gerry Hutch, because he sat here and you know, some of the things that he said to us, they become really iconic because of his way of, this is a totally different question, because of his way of expressing himself, because he's such a, like, his voice is so memorable, and his some of his pronunciations and all of that. And of course, we've seen loads of people doing imitations of him. Was it hard to avoid doing like a kind of a parody of him? Is that must be that's an artistic challenge, I would say, is it?
Yeah, big one.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go too far.
Yeah.
With that. That was massive. So again, thank you to Crime World.
Yeah.
Most of my preparation was me walking alone in Phoenix Park, listening to your podcast over and over again.
Yeah.
Getting that voice down.
Yeah.
Listening to the Paul Reynolds interview, getting that right. I knew when you play a character, you know, on screen or on stage, sometimes it can change about different things you need to do. Sometimes it's good to be around the person. Sometimes it's good to read a load of books, watch films, whatever. For this one, I knew that the voice was iconic.
Yeah.
Very different to my voice as well. Yeah. I'm different physically. There was a lot of transformations that needed to happen for me, but I knew the voice.
Yeah.
I knew once the curtains opened, and all those people in the audience, especially all the Sheriff Street heads, they'd be going, go on, let's hear it now. Because he got it down.
Yeah.
So I spent a huge amount of time just practicing it, saying it. It's a little like just even boxing training, you know. By the time you get up on the stage, you don't want to be thinking what a 3 is.
No.
You just want to be responding. So I needed to say it so many times that I had a little a trigger sentence, and it was there. But it takes a lot of technical work, but totally aware of it, not to do a parody.
Yeah, I mean, it must be physically exhausting. Actually, how long is the show? A one-man show?
It's 70 minutes.
Yeah, so that's tough going, is it, physically?
Well, I'm trained. I've done a few of them now, so it wasn't too bad. I did a one-man show by a great Cavan writer called Philip Doherty.
Yeah, and
he put me through my paces very early out of drama school. It was like 90. It's like almost 100 minutes. We did that everywhere. We did that, like, you know, on big stages, and I did it for 3 lads on acid and electric picnic, throwing cans at me.
Right.
So I've been through the gamut, man. And that was to do it in the theatre on Dawson Street. Wasn't too much of a challenge, but you do have to have a certain level of application and concentration. You don't want to let it go. 20 minutes before the show, you wouldn't really want to be chatting to me, because I need to just get and lock into it. Again, it's just like warming up for a boxing fight or a football match. There's a lot of physical things that need to happen. You don't want to let them go during the show.
Yeah.
And I talk to the audience directly, and I've worked so much on it now, I can improvise.
Yeah.
So I did improvise some nights. The audience were shouted back at me some evenings.
Yeah.
Especially, again, the night the big group from Sheriff Street were in, there's a lot of chat.
Yeah.
So I had to talk as Gerard. That just requires a lot of concentration to stay in character.
Yeah. So it's as you said there, you're considering developing it, or you're certainly in stages. How, I suppose, as a final question, how would you like to develop it? Would you like to see this being filmed or developed in a different way?
Yes. An excellent Irish film director has already approached me to play him.
Yeah.
In a film.
Are you going to get somebody to play me, George Clooney or something? I don't know if he'd be available.
I think John Goodman.
John Goodman, okay. But he is good.
John Goodman.
But there is an interest, because I mean, it's a great story. Like,
this director approached me and asked me to play him, and I thought it was a tremendous idea, a really interesting pitch. But for me, I think that the story, as you alluded to, Niall, is so large. I would love to create an epic Irish television series that uses Gerard's story to chart an entire story right from the 60s. That would be an interesting idea to me. I'm not in that zone right now, but if I was to develop this, I know I can play him, so that's a good confidence thing for me. I know it'd be a tremendous amount of work to write it, but I'd like to, after the Ambassador run, I think the next stage is to go to screen. I just need to figure out which route I want to take, because you could do you could do a quick job and we could have a film out by Christmas, get it in the stockings next Christmas. Or I could take a little bit longer and try and do something international.
Yeah, something broader.
I think so.
So how do people, if they're interested in seeing the play, where would they buy the tickets? Is it with the theatre or Ticketmaster? Or
Ticketmaster.com, www.ticketmaster.com. The Ambassador Theatre, The Monk by Rex Ryan, myself, February 16th on. Tickets on sale now. Get them. I'd say that Glass Mask, my theatre, sold out. We had a waiting list of 2,000.
Yeah.
And it sold out in a day.
Right.
Now, my theatre's a lot smaller, but I would say this to my mates now.
Yeah.
Who all love Crime World.
Right, okay.
I am not fucking sorting out tickets. No. Nor is my wife. So everyone, Niall, you can have one free ticket for having me on.
Right.
Everyone must go to Ticketmaster and please buy a ticket.
Yes.
In my theatre, I just give tickets away for free. Can't do that here.
No.
MCD like their money.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be honour Gerry Hutch's legacy if you make some money out of it as well.
Yes. They'll be happy.
Okay, thanks, Rex. I mean, we may come back to you again as your further plans develop, and maybe even we'll have a chat to you when the run in the Ambassador is over and see how it went. So thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.